We're kicking off the Oscar Sunday fun a few days early. It's our look at this year's nominees before they were up for acting's biggest prize. So let's start with two guys who have been called the sexiest men alive. But back when George Clooney was dodging killer tomatoes or Brad Pitt was having to dress up like a chicken, they must have thought there's got to be an easier way to make a buck in Hollywood. Here's Lara Spencer.
Whiskey and whiskey.
Long before he was the suave leading man with Oscar gold on his mantle, George Clooney was just a kid from Kentucky trying to find something he was good at.
I sold lady shoes at a department store, and I sold insurance door to door.
He also took on his very first role in the TV miniseries Centennial. When filming began near his hometown, George jumped at the chance to be an extra, but you need to watch closely. There he is, on the right side of your screen, carrying a barrel. And don't blink, or you'll miss 17-year-old Clooney carrying a sack in this scene. For all that heavy lifting, George was paid a whopping $25 a day. George would later move to Hollywood, where he borrowed $200 for headshots and rode a bike to auditions waiting for that lucky break. Then it happened. Clooney's very first speaking part was on the detective series Riptide.
You're a liar!
I got my SAG card on Riptide.
It came with a real paycheck.
For 3 years or so, I didn't get a gig. And then you get a guest shot on Riptide, and they pay you $1,500 or something like that, which is more money than I'd made the year before. And you make it in a week.
He cashed in again with a role on the series Street Hall.
No, you pull a stunt like that.
You don't really consider the fact that you're doing terrible television or terrible film. You're just so happy to be working.
That reasoning could explain this next clip. In the mid-'80s, George did this commercial for Japanese car maker Daihatsu. Despite ads like that,
I could do it for $15,000.
George began to get steady work on shows like The Facts of Life.
Yes, you've got the job.
Great.
Lisa Whelchel played the effervescent Blair.
It was quite the memorable day. This man who was just testosterone with a capital T walks into the room and changes the entire dynamic.
Less than a year later, he landed on the #1 show on TV, Roseanne.
Jackie, I can explain.
I want to hear about it.
That led to film parts, though not great ones.
And Return of the Killer Tomatoes, St. Marker.
How you gonna tell one tomato from another?
In the early 90s, George played a transvestite in the film The Harvest. It wasn't exactly Pretty Woman. But through it all, Clooney kept his head held high.
There's many things that I can look back at and go, oh, that's embarrassing. But at the time, I was actually thrilled.
And then, the big break. The two letters that helped make him a household name. An overnight success, more than 13 years in the making. With the help of Dr. Doug Ross, George Clooney's career finally had a steady pulse.
All right, let's do it.
You know he was twice crowned People magazine's sexiest man alive. But did you know Brad Pitt was also voted best dressed at Kickapoo High School in Missouri? That's him, styling on the dance floor on prom night. And it wouldn't be long before Brad would become one of the most photographed men in the world. He dropped out of the University of Missouri and moved to Hollywood, taking odd jobs to pay the bills. Really odd jobs, like wearing a chicken outfit to drum up business for this Sunset Boulevard restaurant. But the money did help pay for acting lessons and landed him some early extra work. In this 1987 little-known film called Hunk, Brad wasn't exactly playing one yet. There he is in the background, sipping a cocktail.
Cheers.
Then in Charlie Sheen's No Man's Land, there's Brad again, in the background as a waiter, this time ordering drinks.
Thanks, Dom.
But eventually he does get some lines. In 1987, he appears on the soap opera Another World. This is Pitt's very first TV work.
I know all the stories about you. You were the ball handler, played D against the other guy's best.
That one day of work led to Pitt getting his SAG card, and more importantly, it led him to Dallas. Brad did 4 episodes of the show.
Yes, sir, whatever you say.
I would give
Just tell
Brad
us
Pitt
what you want
an
us to
A for his work on Dallas. He was prepared and confident and easy to work with.
Veteran actor Steve Canale and Brad even mixed it up in one scene.
I've never run across Brad Pitt professionally since, and it's not too late. So, Brad, I'm out here. If you need somebody to come and rough you up again one day, or maybe I'll bet you can rough me up.
Show me that smile again.
Next, Brad experienced growing pains.
I had seen his picture in the casting department. I was like, oh, I hope he gets it. I hope he gets it.
Gosh, I love this movie.
In the episode, Brad played Tracy Gold's crush, and when it came to their kissing scene, he had one special request.
There's a funny thing. My mom just reminded me of it the other day. She's like that he had actually asked that she not be on the set while we had like the kissing scene. So she's like, because she used to watch, and I guess that made him uncomfortable.
Pitt would then deliver a performance that would shoot him into superstardom as the sexy cowboy JD in Thelma and Louise.
You got an amazing story to tell your friends. Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Gary Oldman has taken his intense style and parlayed it into more than 30 years of critical and commercial success. But the 53-year-old is well aware that none of it would have happened if he had listened to the critics.
My first audition, in fact, turned me down and said that I might want to think about something else to do for a living.
What did you say to him?
I wanted a second opinion.
Acting is all Oldman has ever wanted to do. He grinded out London theater productions for more than 7 years, and it was blood, sweat, and tears trying to make ends meet.
I worked in a hospital as a porter. I interviewed, and the woman said to me, "How are you with the sight of blood? Are you good with blood?" And I guess if you don't faint, you get the job. I didn't faint, and I got the job.
Oh, that's really cool.
In 1986, the English actor got his big break when he was cast as Sid Vicious in the film Sid and Nancy.
She sure fun looking, man. Why is she something else?
That role paved his way to Hollywood and eventually key roles in mega hits, including the Harry Potter and Batman franchises. And all because he refused to listen to a negative review on that first audition. Everybody's talking about the movie where nobody does. The Artist, and that means people want to know more about the star of the film, Jean Dujardin. Well, here's the short version.
I'm an artist. I'm a comedian. I'm French.
A virtual unknown here, but in France, Jean worked as a stand-up and comedic actor for years.
J'aime me battre.
Before his acting career, Jean did a stint in the military and used his free time to work up an 11-character one-man show. In the beginning, there were plenty of seats available.
But I played in front of 3, 4, 5 persons. But I was happy because it was just for me.
It was only to prove to himself that Jean Dujardin could be a performer, or rather, an artist. Demian Bashir is a household name. That is, if your house happens to be in Mexico. But after years of trying, the actor has finally found a better life, if you will, here in the U.S. after his very first Oscar nomination.
Because I love you. You are the most important thing in this world to me, mijo.
Was there ever a time when you were trying to make your name here in the States that you thought, this isn't happening?
Are you kidding me? I would get stopped by the casting directors all the time in the first line, like, okay, let's read. Oh, no, thank you. That's all I need from you. Boom, go home.
When he moved to New York at age 22, Demian got great reviews for his work here at Rosa Mexicano as a busboy and guacamole maker.
You became a bit of a legend during your days at Rosa. You broke some records, I understand.
Oh, yeah, I still hold the record for 39 guacamoles in one lunch.
By the way, I too was a bus girl.
Hello, sister.
When choosing your avocados in the grocery store, your advice to all of America?
Nice and firm.
You know, that applies to many things.
That's the way you hug. That's the way you kiss.
Chips and dip aside, Bashir still couldn't land any roles. So he went back home and did enough good work that he won the Mexican equivalent of an Oscar. That's when Demian decided to take a second chance at making a first impression here in the States. His role as Fidel Castro in Che and on the Showtime series Weeds led to his nomination for A Better Life. And at long last, Demian Bashir is in fact the toast of the town.
Cheers to you.
Thank you.
Cheers to firm avocados.
Yes, ma'am.